Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome to lesson 3. I decided to get up in the mountains for this one. I can't focus the camera on the unbelievable views over there, so you're stuck with this. But what I'm covering in this lesson was going to be the last lesson of this series. But I decided to move it up for 2 reasons. One, it's really appropriate, having just described the animal farm, to talk about the civil rights issue of the 21st century. And second, I've gotten a lot of threats since lesson 2, where I mentioned that I'll reveal what's behind the dollar in future lessons. Of course, what I've already revealed in the first 2 lessons should answer the question for you. So if you just think through what's in those 2 lessons, you know the answer to what's behind the dollar. But I've been threatened from, I got a threat from someone supposedly named Nancy Russell. Who knows if that's her name? Who knows if it's even a female? But I traced her back to New Hope, Pennsylvania. She said that I'll be discredited and blown away if I move forward in this series. I gotten threats from people quoting Sun Tzu, every freak narcissist's favorite philosopher to quote, because he justifies narcissism, he justifies destruction and pummeling the other, where life's all about victory and winning. It's the lamest philosophy on earth, but of course our system's run by freak narcissists, so that's who they quote. But his quote where he says, if you don't understand your enemy, you endanger yourself. Got a lot of those. And all of a sudden, there's a different twist to the type of traffic on my blog and the type of people that are emailing me. So, I got the message. And the message is to keep chugging along and reveal this information to the American people, because it's essential to solving most of the problems in the United States today and most of the problems around the world. It's all related to this issue. This is the civil rights issue of the 21st century. People focus on international problems, A lot of good people focused on noble causes like African poverty, Palestinian slaughter, Philippine starvation, South American oppression. All of those are worthy causes. But just focusing externally causes an inner blindness to the cause of the problem right here at home. The monetary system that I've described is the core of all those problems. So this is the civil rights issue of the 21st century. Adolescents are aware of this issue, ever since the Eminem movement, back with the White America song and stuff like that, where he was venting the angst of the adolescent. Because they're in touch with this problem, maybe not consciously, but subconsciously they see the meaninglessness of their parents' lives as they scramble around in the hamster wheel to earn bank credit, to pay debt and taxes, and consume cheap products that break more and more. That's the essence of life now, and the adolescents know it. The adolescents that are labeled, oppositional defiant or maladjusted, it's because they're quite well adjusted to their hearts and their subconscious and what they feel in the world. So they're aware of it. Foreigners are aware of it. People holding up signs as our media goes into their countries when they're experiencing crises, which were really just being conquered by our financial institutions. They're holding up signs saying, please stop the oppression. But we don't listen. Let me tell you why I'm doing this. For the last year or so, I've been on this, focused on this effort to change the monetary system. Because 2 years ago, I was a therapist. I was counseling low-income, or students at low-income schools, low-income school districts on the West Coast. And one particular student was just a beautiful 7-year-old, a second grader with all kinds of hope and desire for his life, but a lot of rage and sadness as well, because he didn't have a father. His father still existed, but he was working 3 jobs to put food on the table for his family. So effectively, the kid didn't have a father. And I was filling that need as a counselor, but he didn't need a counselor, he needed a father. But it's because of the monetary system that his father wasn't around. By definition, the monetary system requires most people to be in scarcity so that they're spinning on the hamster wheel, running faster and faster to earn bank credit to pay off their obligations. It's the simple math of the monetary system, and for those who think this is socialist talk or communist talk, I'm sorry you don't understand basic math. You've been fooled and indoctrinated by the Ivy League and a bunch of windbags on CNBC and the media. It's the basic fundamental math of our system. It is an elite on top living off the backs of the masses. by putting them in a forced labor situation because of the scarcity of credit. Now, 100 years ago or 200 years ago, that was called slavery. 500 years ago, it was called feudalism and serfdom. Today, it's called the free market. This free market is human enslavement for the people on, from your perspective, on the left side of the whiteboard that I've been describing. So it's to continue with the metaphor, it's a slave master and slave system. When I was counseling that 7-year-old, that's when I decided to join this macro effort. Because there are plenty of people trying to do good work, trying to participate in healing and redemption. But their efforts are suppressed by the macro system. The minorities in the third world have been trying to get us to listen for years, and we haven't, but now we're waking up, and so let's join the cause. All right, so let me speak to a few specific groups. First, to you economists. And most of you don't know about this because you're focused just on studying the economic system and not thinking about the monetary system that hovers above it. They're two different things. The economic system is the value generation system. The monetary system is what determines who collects that value, who gets to monetize it and put it in their bank accounts. You need to step outside the box and look at the bigger system. And some of you already do. Some of you know the system and you're not speaking up because of a paycheck and career interests, so you're basically selfish. You need to speak up. I know some of you from my days at Harvard. And then there are others of you that are serving the system, like Larry Summers. And Larry, everybody knows you're beyond hope. You're a lost cause. You're a lost soul. So I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to everybody else who knows what's going on and has a conscience. Corporate leaders and people serving the corporate system, you need to wake up. Stop being blind and getting up on a daily basis and commuting into work in your Porsche and then hanging out with a bunch of robots in suits and then going to happy hour with them and then repeating that cycle day after day for a nice big paycheck. You're blind to what you're really doing in the world, to how you're serving this imperial system. Corporations are dependents of this system and they fuel the growth of the system. Stop being a frat boy for a paycheck. Get a meaningful life. Nobody remembers the business leaders once they pass on. We remember spiritual leaders and philosophical thinkers and people that are trying to improve the world and change the power structures of the world. Why don't you follow in their footsteps and stop having a meaningless life of sales and PR? That's all it is. It's a fake life. And you know this deep down. Having worked with you, having participated with you in this system, I know that you feel this. But the paycheck keeps you running around the horse track. You're like a horse race or a racehorse with blinders on running around the track because the little carrots out there dangling in front of your face. Is that all you are as an animal? Like a Pavlovian dog responding to incentives? Come on. Lawyers, you're particularly responsible because you're agents of this system. You went to law school initially for justice, but now you know the Constitution's out and the Uniform Commercial Code is in, which enshrines the capital holders at the top of the system. The UCC means that all courts care about are those top capital holders. Snap out of it. Fight for justice in the world rather than serving the bankers as they get ready to foreclose on the country. And then law enforcement. I know a lot of you. I know your hearts. Having been a military commander and having worked with law enforcement, I know you. You've got good motivations for getting into those fields, but you are manipulated and co-opted and indoctrinated and brainwashed by the power structure. Any one of you that enforces an order from a court that's serving the banks and kicks the lower classes out of their homes and takes their property to hand it over to the richest people in the world, you're scum. You don't deserve your badge, you don't deserve your uniform, you're an embarrassment to the profession. And they've converted you from having pride and doing good and serving your community to now you have false pride and this tough guy pride, this narcissist pride. Stop beating up college kids for the imperial banking system. Every G20 protest, that's all that is, because you think you're RoboCop. And then everyone else, again, what could be your story? What's your motivation for joining this cause? This problem that's causing all the problems in the world. Stop serving the imperial system. The more that we all commute daily into that system and participate in it, the more it grows. And the more it grows, the more value it extracts, the more the republic declines. It's an inverse relationship. So as that grows, you lose all your freedom. And it's time to reverse that. Stop serving this pathetic system and rebuilding the republic, rebuilding your local communities. Instead of getting up and racing off to work in the morning, get up and go out and meet your neighbors again. Rebuild neighborhoods and local communities. Turn off the television. Never watch it again. It's a joke. Do something meaningful. Join a meaningful crusade. We all have that motivation to be part of good, to be part of a good cause. And we've been co-opted since 2001 with the 9/11 attacks and the war on terror to think that that's our good cause, when really that's just a symptom of this problem I'm talking about. You're being manipulated to join the wrong cause. And all the great soldiers out there, I know your hearts, I totally know. And all the military officers, especially the West Point graduates that are all about serving the Republic, and you're still committed to the original American ideal, but you're being co-opted and manipulated. You're being played by the Ivy League freaks running the intelligence apparatus. Watch The Good Shepherd again to see who's developing your orders, and join this cause. Be the next Martin Luther King. Be the next Gandhi. Where is the next Martin Luther King and the next Gandhi? Why does nobody speak up anymore? And now we can't depend on one leader because they've co-opted the national media system, and so there's no way for a new national leader to lead the cause. But in fact, that's not what's going to save America anyway. The Jeffersonian ideal was that we self-govern. We rule our own lives. Now, the flaw is that perhaps Jefferson was just dreaming of an idea that isn't true. And the evidence would suggest that it's not true, that people don't want to govern themselves. They'd rather be led. But we can't do that anymore. We need to step out of needing to be led. I'm not your next leader. And no politician is. Ron Paul isn't. We've got to lead ourselves. We've got to be our own king and be our own queen and be our own sovereign. And then the system will start adjusting. But Martin Luther King said that our lives begin to end the day that we become silent about things that matter. So here's the question. When you get up in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror, are you dead?